Welcome, everybody, to the 4th episode of Live from the 575, the official NM State Esports podcast. Definitely not a month late. Hope you guys are all doing good. I want to go ahead and introduce my cast for this lovely episode. We got Danny C, a.k.a. Danny1337 on Discord. He doesn't use social media. We got the Fan Man, Kevin Fan. And we got Will, a.k.a. Toonies with the Easy. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Have you guys ever done a podcast before?
No,
absolutely not. I jumped in on one, but
that is
never
true.
started
Kevin
off
was
one.
a special guest on episode 3 with Jackie, Darlene, and Freezer. God bless their souls. They're not dead, but they're somewhere else.
They're back in Kansas.
They're back in
Might as
Kansas,
well.
wherever they are. But we have some new people here. It's been about a month since the last podcast. The last podcast was about the Invitational, or at least hyping it up, at least in some way, which we'll get to in this podcast. But I want to introduce you guys more. We'll start with you, Will. Who are you today? Bet you weren't expecting that one, huh?
I did not expect it at all. What do you mean by who am I today?
Who are you today, Will?
Which personality are you today?
Oh,
Which one of the voices is louder?
I am a different person every 5 minutes, so.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll just introduce myself, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am an NMSU alumni. I graduated last semester with a Bachelor in Science in Computer Science. Yeah.
Nice. And what do you do now?
I am now working as a software developer for Steel Consulting in El Paso.
Wait, you work for Steel?
Yeah.
That's my accountant. Deadass? I did my taxes there last year. Not this year.
Oh, they're two different things though. But yeah.
Never mind.
Close.
Same thing. Close but no cigar. Tell us how you got involved with NM State Esports.
It all started was it November when we went to California?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, that trip. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But I mean, we knew you a little bit beforehand. If not, we wouldn't have invited you. Come on now.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
dude. We knew you since like the start of the semester.
I signed up as like a person to help Jivey, Jason.
You were tech team
Yeah.
back in the old era. Before the dictatorship.
Yeah, I was just trying
The
to see if I can
dictatorship.
like get more involved
Hey,
and stuff, but ended up not doing that much, but still got invited to the trip. So
Well, we're lucky to have you.
Thank
I always took you on as like the unofficial esports academic leader because you were tutoring so many of our kids and so many of our students where it was like, if it wasn't for Will, we wouldn't have half of our team passing to play, which
Aw.
I hope you take very dearly because you
Oh,
are
thank you.
absolutely brilliant, and I'm pretty sure everybody would not deny that at all. So we're really lucky to have you. Part of the tech team now, alumni now. Pretty cool. We got the Fan Man. Tell us why you're important.
So I'm one of the advisors for the club. Spot the difference, faculty, students, right? So yeah, I'm one of the advisors, and I've really been involved in a lot of stuff, especially after this sort of like quiet injection, I guess that's one way of putting it, when the school literally made me your advisors or one of your advisors without really consulting you guys, from what I've heard. And
That's
so, I totally get the sentiment initially, but getting to know you guys and everything sort of got me more and more involved. And now I can't get rid of you guys. And so,
And we're not letting go. Don't even think about it. But yes, like you said, you are our advisor now, but I feel like you've taken on a little bit of a bigger role than just that. I mean, anybody can be an advisor for any club, and their involvement is very not like necessary, but to you it feels like, or at least for me, it definitely is necessary to have someone like you involved. Obviously, like you said, you're seeing my professor, 3D animation. You're very brilliant when it comes to that. You have a very good eye for art, so I think that's where a lot of us lean on you for. Just to see, hey, does this look like shit or does it not look like shit? Essentially, that's what we go to you for, and your input is very, very influential on a lot of the things that we do. So I thank you for at least offering that side of your expertise.
I mean, if that's what I can do for you guys, I'll do whatever I can.
He's the Photoshop monkey. Next up, we have Danny. Danny, what is you?
What am I?
Yeah.
I am me. Always will be. But I'm I'm
Say it
just
to the
help
camera.
out.
Say that again.
I am me, and I always will be. I hang out just around like lab. I help out here and there wherever they kind of need me to go. I just show up, do what they say. They say jump, I go how high. You know the saying.
The handyman.
Not
The handyman, yeah.
Man. Well,
Dan, the handyman.
I disagree with that. I think
Oh, thanks, Vic.
you're supposed to. You should have opened with this. Is you're number 4 in terms of the media tech team.
I am?
Yeah, it's me
Dude, that's
Aw.
news to me.
and Jivey. We're tied for 1, but who's really one around?
The dictatorship,
you.
man.
The dictatorship. And then there's Enix or Darlene now, and then there's you because you're senior tech manager. So you're number 4.
Really? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
What? I
I
asked you.
knew I was like senior
I literally
tech
asked
staff
you.
before the incorporation, but after like the new era, I wasn't too sure. I figured I was hired help, you know.
Okay, no. You are number 4, baby. Don't let anybody forget it. But yes, you've been very
I
influential in
bet.
a lot of our bigger productions. Obviously, you're kind of like the more engineer slash, I guess, yeah, you're right. Like handyman, you know how things work and how they should work and how to put things together and how to take them apart. And a lot of us frail gamers don't. So that's why we call on you for your.
That's why you keep me around.
That's why I keep you around, man. You're useful. That's only the reason why.
Not my good looks.
You're pretty handsome.
Oh, thanks, Vic.
But
Aw.
I want to talk about something you guys all have in common, and I knew you guys were waiting to talk about this, and I'm gonna have to stop you guys. But you guys all play cards, specifically Magic: The Gathering. Tell me how that's influenced your involvement in esports or just card gaming in general. We'll start with Danny.
It's stolen my money and my will to live. It took it all.
You took
But
it all,
It took it all. It's all gone.
but I see you play every night.
I do play. I
Okay.
play a lot. It's really great. I mean, all these people at esports. You know, I showed up to one night hosted by Dragonheart Amanda. I showed up for fun because I was bored, and now like 3 months later, I'm playing every night. I'm texting kids every day about
Hey,
you know,
this card.
come catch these games, come catch these cards. You know, and it's just gone off. I've met so many new people. That's how I really got to know Will and Kevin, and even I got to know Jivey a lot better over it after I worked with him this summer, and Amanda and all the people who know cards. And that's really what got me a lot more involved in esports.
Definitely. Were you playing cards before esports?
No.
So you just started like
Yeah.
the past 6
I
months?
just showed up and they got me addicted.
Oh, okay. Understandable. Now, Kevin, is it to my
Yeah.
understanding that you are the exact opposite, where you've been playing cards for a very long time?
I wouldn't say very long, but I did start back in 2012, which seems like an eternity ago.
13, 11 years ago?
Yeah,
damn.
but I did stop for maybe a good 5-6 years in the middle there. And then suddenly hearing that, this might be something fun to consider, because I know early in the fall semester,
Got
we
big
were
and
looking
started-
to expand the esports
Yeah.
more and get connected to others. And while I was helping tabling in the fall, randomly just ran into one of the chess bros, just like solo manning the entire esports table by himself. I'm like, where's the rest of us? And then helped that out. And then I just so happened to run into Christian's tabletop gaming club. And I'm like,
Yes,
we
Geek
should
said I miss you.
collab.
Yeah.
And then from then it was just kind of
History.
cardboard and money sinks.
Money
So-
sinks. The number in the bank account keeps going down. Now, Will, I don't know your story when it comes to TGC. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I think it's the same with Kevin. I started out, not playing Magic, but I started out with Yu-Gi-Oh. I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was in middle school, which is like 2012, 2013-ish. And then I played for like a good while until they released Pendulum, and then I got tired, and so I stopped. And until that trip that we mentioned to California last year, seeing all these people playing cards, and they were just really welcoming. They taught me how to play, and I love playing cards myself. So yeah, I caught on, and now it just, it's a slippery hill. It just all went downhill from there.
That's how it goes. That's how it rolls around here, man. Once Kevin gets his $1,000 card, everybody's putting out. There's this one that's $500 that maybe can beat him. But I digress. But tell me, I have a question for y'all regarding cards. How do you think that it's been influential in your like business decisions? Because obviously, you know, it's an investment. I would argue that cards, you know, don't really depreciate over time. It just depends on, you know, what the meta is and stuff like that. But how has cards influenced your business decisions in like everyday to day type stuff? Because obviously, you know, everything has depreciation values, but cards, not so much. We'll start with you, Danny.
I try not to think about it too hard because it makes my brain hurt. And
Understandable.
I'm not too bright. But, you know, I look at it and I'll be like, oh, do I really want this? What is it worth to me? Not so much what the card might be worth, but what is it worth to me? What am I going to get out of it? How much more fun will my life be from doing this or doing something else? And I just try to go by that.
That's a good outlook. How much more fun is it going to bring? I think that's what everybody should be aiming for. But Kevin, is it to my understanding that's a little bit different for you?
It definitely is, because I think the one advantage I have over the kids is just I have a relatively stable income, and that stability is really dependent on what new card sets come out. And to me, the biggest thing that I've noticed definitely is that I look at, especially like major collector sets that I see, especially like the Japanese card games, like Weiss Schwartz and stuff like that. There's a lot more of that collector's element to them rather than the competitive side. There's still a very competitive aspect behind the game, but there's a lot more like with the special signed cards that it comes with. And so I look at those as like investment opportunities, right? Because I remember a very, very long time ago, I bought a single box for like 50 or 60 bucks. And then I pulled one of the signed cards from the set, and that card is worth a few $100 now since, you know. And then I saw that it's like, wow, if this is a way for me to double my money every time or so, you know, I will take that opportunity to. And so now it's more so like buying to hold and to sell, you know, even if I'm not opening all the boxes, I'm using it to like flip and sell for kind of like a mini supplementary income thing, you know. So
Definitely. I think that's a smart way to go about it, is like, all right, this is money that I'm investing, all right, obviously, but can I make it back or double it? That's very interesting.
Mhm.
Now, Will, once again, I don't know you as much when it comes to the cards. What is your outlook on it? How does it influence your business decisions on a daily, if it does at all?
I mean, yeah, in a way. To me, it's kind of like I'm in the middle between Kevin and Danny, because like no longer a student, but like not really like, you know, having that stable income. Well, I do have stable income, but like I haven't experienced it for so long as to Kevin. So to me, buying cards is just, you know, a way to fulfill my dopamine for like
Understandable.
yeah like I open packs to find pleasure, because when
That's
it comes
one
to
way to put it.
opening packs, I got like a little luck. And so usually I would pull like some expensive cards that I can trade for like other cards that I want. But now, after experiencing a bunch of opening, it's come down to ask, you know, like whether I want the card or I don't, and what do I have to give up in order to get the card. And so I have to start to like stop myself from buying too many cards. I have to like set like a limit of how much I should spend on card like every month or every paycheck, just so I don't overspend, because I did that in the past, and it hurts
happens.
not just me but everyone apparently, according to them. So
Definitely. Well, very interesting perspectives from all of that. So I'm glad that at least it's something that brings us all together. If you are a TGC player, make sure to stop by when spring break is back every Friday night for our TCG nights. We hang out in the Esports facility here on campus at NMSU. But speaking of NMSU, let's get right into the NM State Esports, kind of like the local topics that we have. Obviously, we had the 2023 NM State Esports Invitational, and I'm always going to say it and address it by its super long name, just so it gets more clicks on YouTube. But I want to talk about certain aspects of it, specifically our partnership, not necessarily a sponsorship, but a partnership with Corsair. Essentially, they allowed us to get a really good discount on buying 20 machines, maybe 10, I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that? Brand new machines, 3070s. I'm not sure what the CPU is. Pretty big. I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, we have Viewsonic. We love Viewsonic. They're our official sponsorship. They're on our jerseys and everything like that. What do you guys think the Corsair machines are going to bring to the esports facility and the lab? Start with
Well,
you, Kevin.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely think that having those really cool machines is definitely like it draws people in, right? Because our older Dells and everything that we've been working with, we're still like attracting people. They come and see like, oh, what's going on here? They see a bunch of folks hanging out on the PCs and everything. But now when we have dedicated RGB fans on all our PCs,
That's true.
there's definitely going to be a little bit of that wow factor, and especially bringing in like the not as competitive gamers, right? Just like the
100%,
regular
yeah.
people on campus, they'll see the flashing lights and they're like, I want to see what's going on in here. And then it's an opportunity for us to meet new people, and so.
Definitely. What about you, Will? Does it bring anything to you at least?
Yeah, I feel like aesthetic is like something very important. Yeah, like you mentioned, like the RGB and like the look of all the machines. People will, look at the machine and be like, oh, they look so cool. Like they look like brand new, and they're like, they must have functioned really well, whatever. And then also, I think it might help with us like promoting the lab. Like it'll be so much better if we can like set up all of the machine and like take shots and like film videos or
Definitely.
whatever, and post them. That would be like, like a very good thing to do to promote the esport program. Yeah.
Definitely. Anything you have to add to that, Danny?
I'm not too good with computers, but just looks alone does a lot. When you come in and they've got the lights down a little bit because they like it dark all the time, but you can see like the RGB fans and all those lights going. It just lends a sense of credibility to kind of that we've got those top tier gaming PCs going.
Definitely. Hopefully we put those machines to work. But speaking of putting things to work, we want to make sure that we shout out something that we all kind of have a little bit of a part in, is we have some merch that we're selling currently. We're selling our esports merch. None of us are wearing it, but if you want something that looks as cool as Kevin's polo, make sure to check out our shop. It's going to be linked down below. We have a bunch of Invitational 2023 t-shirts on sale right now, as well as just regular NM State esports stuff that we're selling. So make sure to go ahead and check those out down in our Squarespace page below. But speaking of merch, I want to talk about Geek Shack. They were there at the Invitational. Obviously, we're good friends with Christian. What do you think that having them as one of the main sponsor/tables at the Invitational did for the TGC community, not just here in Las Cruces, but in Mexico? Let's start with you, Danny.
I think it was pretty cool just to have a different side to not so much esports, but like tabletop sports and stuff like that. And I heard they had like a lot of people stop by and take a look at it, and it just let them know that they were there and that this is something else that you can do if you like stuff like esports, especially if you're into stuff like Hearthstone or other strategy type games that maybe you want to get out and play with some other people rather than online. I think it's just a nice thing that's kind of like esports, but a little just enough different to be fun.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the demographics in terms of like gaming and pop culture that's like super oversighted in terms of like attention and like publicity that they get, because you hear about something like a Geek Shack and you automatically think gaming and consoles and stuff like that, but in reality there's like way more to it, and they capitalize on it perfectly at the Invitational. What do you think about it, Kevin?
Yeah, no, it's definitely really cool to see. I got an opportunity to really see them in action, aside from, milking us for our cash, seeing them tap into a whole new clientele that was there that wasn't expecting to buy physical merchandise. Sure, they'll pick up some stuff from our store while at the Invitational, but having another outlet for them, being able to partner with them and creating these opportunities. My first real big competitive experience in card games was in college, right? My friends really got me into that competitive side rather than just building casual for fun decks. It was like, oh, we're going to play in this weekend's tournament specifically to win. Our goal is top 4 or whatever it is, and getting into that new competitive spirit is just like another outlet for them, especially for those who are super competitive. Like, I'm competitive. You guys seen me lose my mind playing games with you guys at times, but you see me
Always fun.
get really, find another outlet for that is always nice. So
What about you, Will?
Yeah, as Danny already said it, it's like another aspect to playing card games online, and now you can buy cards and then play them with your friends IRL. Yeah, so it was really cool. Well, I have to admit that they kind of, milk me a little bit more.
Hey, man, you got the big computer science job, dude.
Well,
I'm saying.
but yeah, it was really cool. Especially, good for Christian and Lewis. So good people. Yeah, just happy to see a lot of people getting more involved in TCG, and having a chance to experience it during, not like a TCG event, but yeah,
It almost became one a little bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
think
like
that's a good
the inclusivity that we have. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. A quick recap of the 2023 NFSA Esports Invitational, which happened about 2 weeks as this episode's coming out. So this episode's coming out hopefully this Friday. Hopefully I have enough time to edit it by the 17th of March. It happened 2 weeks ago, the 4th and 5th of March. We had some great competition come down. 2 Las Cruces from all over the southwest of the United States. We had University of Arizona from Tucson. We had pretty much every school in New Mexico at the high school / university level. We had 40 competitors, and I think it was like 8 total schools from El Paso down in Texas, as well as UTEP come down. So really excited, or it was really such a pleasure seeing everybody again for the second annual Invitational. Let's talk about some of the competitions. We're pretty much going to talk about the winners. Although there's a bunch of great matches, we're just going to talk about the standout moments. We had Gadsden winning the League of Legends tournament, which we actually had Will and Kevin cast League of Legends part of the tournament. Were you guys casting the finals, or was it
I
Oscar?
casted the finals.
You casted the finals
With
with Oscar, but I
yep.
know you guys started day one pretty
Mhm.
much all day together, right?
Yeah.
At least the morning half. How was
Yeah.
that? You guys haven't casted League of Legends in a long time, specifically
Mhm.
you two. How was that for you, Will? You first time casting ever, right?
Yeah. Well, I realized that it's a lot harder than it looks. Definitely. I mean, I look up some like videos of like how people cast, and then trying to like mimic them, of course. But then when it comes to like down to the action, there was too much that was going on. There was so many things that was going on the screen, and sometimes I got zoned out. I was like, whoa, I'm just following all of this. And Kevin was just sitting by my side, just keep talking and talking. So I'm like, well, you kind of did it there. And then I just jump in here and there whenever. So yeah, it was fun, especially doing it with Kevin.
Definitely. Now, Kevin, you got more casting time, at least in the grand scheme of the Invitational. Altogether, you've casted League of Legends just a little bit, at least to my knowledge, but you really put in a couple hours here during your time slots.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was a lot more exhausting than I actually imagined it to be, because I'm used to watching LCS, watching pro play and stuff, and it's just like, oh, okay, I'm witnessing, but having to actually see what's happening and understand what's happening was the hardest part of it, because I'm so used to like, oh no, I just get to watch and I get to, oh cool, they won, right? And you just understand. But when you're analyzing, casting, and doing everything on the spot, you're seeing everything unfold in real time. One thing's happening, and then suddenly the camera jumps to another thing happening, and there's no breaks at times, and you're just like running out of air, trying to catch your breath, for almost a minute and a half straight of just like calling things out that are happening. And it's just like, definitely an experience, right? But I definitely enjoyed it a lot. So
Definitely. And I mean, I've done some casting by myself, at least for a little bit. I started casting Call of Duty for the NMSU Call of Duty team back in 2019 and 2020. So that's like when I started, and it was the same thing. I was like okay at Call of Duty. I watched some Call of Duty, but like actually understanding like, wow, they're going to get these kills and it's going to allow them to do this, and this is going to happen because of that, is kind of like crazy. And I can only imagine how it is with League when there's so many champs, there's so many like counter picks, counter pools, whatever you do in League of Legends. I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to League of Legends, but regardless, same kind of deal. Tell me, who was your favorite co-caster besides each other?
I don't think, did I cast with anyone else? I think I cast with Oscar, but did I cast with anyone else besides just you and Oscar?
You cast with Gabe Torta.
Did I cast with Gabe?
Yeah.
Did I
I would
actually?
hope you would remember this.
It feels like it's so
You're
long
watching
ago.
right now.
To be honest, it felt like it was so long
It's
ago.
been 2 weeks.
but it felt like a month. At least a
Gabe is
month
watching
now.
you.
I know, right? But I definitely felt like everyone I casted with brought something new to the table, right? Oscar had that energy, that excitement, and I was able to really relate with him because he knew a lot of the older League of Legends that I started playing with back in like season 2 and forward. And so it was like really cool to have sort of that connection with him, you know. I'm not sure if he's like that much older or what, but he definitely has that older, more mature sort of casting, but he has that energy to really back it up with it. You know, and then casting with Will, just kind of like that comfort, someone I'm familiar with, someone I really know. Casting with is always like a comfort. And then Gabe, I'm convinced that I don't think I casted an actual game with Gabe, but if I did, I remember watching him though. He was super excitable. He's really excited. It was really fun to watch him and Oscar cast together, and they got really lucky with a really exciting game 3 between Gadsden and ECA. If I remember,
we don't talk about
correctly.
that game where it is right now. We don't talk about it,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I heard it was a banger.
Yeah, no. So
It was a grade A
is.
bang out. That's what they call it. What about you, Will? I don't know if you cast with anybody else. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think so. I think the first half of that day I cast with Kevin. And after that I was just running around trying to see if I can help with anything.
Oh,
So didn't really cast any other games. Yeah.
Understandable. Well, what do you guys think about the final matchup? It was Gadsden versus
ECA.
ECA.
Yeah.
It was a rematch from that. I think the winners quarters. They were in the same top side of the bracket, and then ECA dropped down end of day 1. What do you guys think of that grand final matchup? I don't know. Will, did you watch it at all? Finals?
I don't think I had. Yeah, I don't think I have.
What about
the
you? I know you
time to,
casted it.
but-
Yeah, from what I saw, or from what I'm trying to remember now at this point, it was definitely a fairly straightforward game from both sides in terms of picks and stuff like that. But it just seemed like Gadsden had really essentially warmed up to the entire tournament, right? Because I know ECA gave them a lot of trouble during the winners' initial bracket. But afterwards, it just seemed like Gadsden really just had the rest of the tournament on lock. They didn't really give up too much, and they really, just showed a lot of confidence in their picks and bans, and some of their more hyper carry comps. Putting all their damage on 1 or 2 characters and letting the rest of the team play a little bit more safer, more protect champs. And Gadsden really showed like their dominance after the first day. So.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, Gadsden. Super proud of you guys. They took down NMSU. An absolute banger. So GG's to them. Let's move on to Sandia. They were one of the 2 schools to take home 2 trophies. Not 1, but 2 trophies at the Invitational, which is the first time the record's been set. This Invitational where a school takes home multiple trophies. Last Invitational, 1 school won each tournament. All the higher eds. But this time, we saw Sandia win Mario Kart and chess. Chess, not too much of a team game. Obviously, it was just a Sandia player. But they won the Mario Kart. They beat Riverside in a very close matchup. Mario Kart is Danny's favorite subject.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Mario Kart. Did you get to watch the grand finals at all? I mean, I can imagine you were.
I did. I was actually behind the
casters, right?
players. No, I was
Oh,
behind
behind
the
the players.
players. I was on stage because we had to work it out where one of our refs or judges would actually stand behind and monitor the games.
To points, right?
Yeah, to keep track of points and to if we had issues with the consoles, so we had someone there ready to assist in any way they needed. It was the best way we found to do stuff.
Definitely. How was the grand finals matchup though? I know it was a close game.
Yeah, it was really close. Our first round of 4 races was really close, and then it actually stayed really close all the way through. Both teams were really doing really good. They were saying terms that I'd never thought of before in Mario Kart. They really took it professionally.
Shell sniping, blue
Sniping.
shell.
They were saying stuff like defense, offense, like items. I was
bananas.
like,
What?
man, they were saying things, man.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, Sandia. Obviously pulling it out over there. Waylon from Sandia was our chess winner. He went, I think, 5-0. He didn't win. He didn't drop a single game in the bracket for chess, and he managed to take home the trophy. He was the highest-rated player at the end of the tournament. Second and third place was a player from I don't remember the name of the school. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't too familiar with the chess players. I just know the winner by the winner's name, and then Mar was actually third.
Okay.
So he was also the runner-up for MVP of chess, but he straight up just never showed up to the the second day. So they didn't give it to him. Obviously, we wanted to make sure that, the winner, or at least somebody that was participant into the entire thing, worked out well. So congratulations to them. Another school that went home and took home 2 trophies was UTEP. The UTEP Honey Badgers, they took home the Smash side of the tournament. We had Serve, one of my longtime friends, old teammate from when I was at UTEP. We don't talk about those days. But he took home the singles tournament. But the UTEP Cruise team obviously beat UNM pretty single-handedly. I think it was like 3-0 in terms of lives. In the grand finals matchup up on stage, did you guys get to watch any of that?
Yeah.
How was it for you guys?
I thought it was really exciting watching Smash in general because I used to play Melee a bunch, and then seeing Ultimate now, it's just like pretty crazy, seeing how different the game is and just the wide variety of characters that people are playing.
Definitely.
Melee was a much smaller pool to work with, but then Ultimate now is just like, wow. Half of them weren't even like mirror matchups anymore, and people were actively choosing counters and stuff like that. And so it was really cool to see that on the stage. And it's just always exciting to watch, like a fast-paced game really like take
Definitely.
off.
Yeah, I mean, I think Smash is probably one of the closely matched games that we have here in this region. Obviously, UTEP is really strong. NMSU is also really strong. Pretty much all of New Mexico is really strong. Just UTEP came out on top. They brought some really good players this time around. So it was really interesting to see how long those games actually took. They were going to game 5s. They were going to, bracket resets, stuff like that, especially in the singles side. So congratulations to them winning that one home. And then last but not least, we have NMSU winning Rocket League, finally bringing home the trophy. They kind of choked last year. I'm not gonna give them any slack for that when they lost to GCU, a hot GCU team. But they were able to bring one home. Flawless tournament. I don't think they dropped a single round, all the way through winners. So what do you guys think about that?
Good for them, man.
They're pretty cracked. Congratulations to Frankie Yuli, Pizro, and Grand Alarm Aiden. Now, Danny, you're one of the unsung heroes for the Invitational, taking on the absolute monster that was the Mario Kart tournament. Over 22 teams were in that tournament. That's crazy. I think you had the most teams out of any game besides Smash, but Smash is way more easier to handle because singles is its own thing. Cruise is pretty basic, They kind of have everybody together, but it seems like for Mario Kart, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually have to deal with a lot of coaches and a lot of teachers / managers / liaisons more than the players. Am I wrong for that?
Well, first off, you flatter me way too much, man.
You did a great job.
I had a ton of help, though. Everyone, you, Pac, Matt, and all the people who were down there with me through day 1 and day 2, they helped me out so much. I could not have done it without them. But yeah, in the end, I did end up talking with a lot of coaches. But all in all, they were all really kind and really understanding. They knew it was kind of my first time going at it, and so they helped me out a lot. They gave me some tips and tricks for next time and helped me, especially on day 2, get the setups changed over so that it ran a lot more smoothly. But I did end up talking with a lot of coaches and with a lot of team managers more than I ended up talking with the players. But it was cool. They were all very knowledgeable and they were all very kind.
Definitely. I mean, you were kind of thrown to the wolves and you made it out alive. So I think everybody's extremely proud of you for doing that. I feel horrible because I told you, I would be there. I'm going to stream manage. When I'm not stream managing, I'm going to be there to help you run the tournament. And I was not there. So
you
I
had
want to
so much on your plate, man. You don't even sweat it.
I was
you had
super busy.
So much stuff going on.
That's no excuse for me to lie to you.
No, you had so much to do. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's over now. Congratulations. You actually, I think you specifically had the hardest tournament and you ran it pretty well. The only thing that really held you back was technology, and that's not even your fault. That's just switches being they suck. First of all, in terms of online / wireless / connectivity in between switches, they're horrible. And the TVs sucked. So in an ideal world, you would have 4 players on one TV, 4 players on another TV, but you had to have 2 TVs for every 4 people. 2 and 2, 2 and 2, which doubles the amount of setups you need, doubles the amount of time it takes, and it makes the connectivity even worse because now you have 4 switches instead of 2.
Yeah, we ended up having 2 players per TV and 2 TVs per team, so we could end up having three games going on at once.
That's so little for 22 teams, and you guys did like groups too. That's crazy.
Yeah, we did group play the first day and then bracket the second. I know to finish group play, we ended up staying till like I think it was almost 6:30, 7 o'clock before we finally got out day 1. And I know, as soon as you were done, you came down there and you were there with us, being another big help.
I appreciate
on day 1.
you giving me some credit, but I really don't deserve
You
it.
deserve
It's
all the
you.
credit, man. Couldn't be done without you.
But shout out to all those homies that were helping out. Smash was kind of getting to that level. It was kind of getting a little bit out of hand, but we thankfully had a lot of great help from UNM, a lot of great help from UTEP, and a lot of coaches in general just helping out and assisting in terms of tournament organizing. They're not at all obligated to do that, but they took the time and did that themselves. So I'm really, really grateful for the community for both Smash and Mario Kart, and I believe everybody here at NM State Esports can say the same. Talking about streams, how were the streams for you guys? Did you guys like the production value? I hope I somewhat did something to impress somebody, at least somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think definitely there was production was there,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
No, I mean in really a good way. We have a lot of graphics, a lot of stuff, and just basically being able to bounce around to all the streams and showcase a lot of the games going on, and even hopping onto the walkie-talkies, hey, put on the league game because we got the Three Stooges, casting right now, and probably one of the most memorable games to watch.
Definitely.
Because watching Patty, Dom, and Arvion cast the game,
that's like you got the magic beans. Like you threw him to the floor,
trio.
and then the legendary trio they grew up. Arvion only comes out of his house for in-person tournaments, and that's because he literally has to in order to compete. So that is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you, Arvion. If you're watching, you're probably not. For exiting your household. We also had Dom on there. Dom was able to go ahead and show up and help out with that. So shout out to Dom. A lot of our EP folks were coming out, and a lot of our other teams were coming out to help as well with various different things. So famously, our Mario Kart team, I think, was the worst placing college at the Mario Kart tournament that were there. No shade to y'all, but we had Fraud from Rocket League. Obviously, he doesn't play Mario Kart, competing just so we can have a title there. Mari from Valorant, Lorenzo from Valorant, and then we had Michaela, who doesn't even live here, has never played Mario Kart for like more than an hour any given day. Just, she flew all the way from North Carolina, South Carolina. I don't know where they're from. One of the Carolinas. I apologize for not remembering. Just for the invitational, just for the tournament, and they went back. I'm not sure if they went straight back, if they went up to Albuquerque where they're from. So, they brought the baby. Absolutely adorable. And she played even in the Mario Kart tournament, so they were grinding it out. So huge shout out to the Mario Kart team. Obviously, we know our Rocket League team. Our Smash team was a little bit different from last year. Last year, we were able to win the Smash tournament, but it was a little bit different setup. We had a little bit different team back then. A lot of our players back then are no longer students, or they're students so much so that they don't have time to compete. So we had a different roster, but they ended up making a pretty good run in singles bracket with Goldwalker making it to 4th. So congratulations to him. In terms of League of Legends, we have our main roster: Arvion, Smexy, Gabe. We had newcomer Gabe as Frosty. Shout out Gabe. And Jack, Car98K, the GOAT himself, come down and play. So congratulations to them for making top 6, I think. In the tournament of 8 people. And then what else did we have? Chess was Mar, also one of our chess players. I think he was, like I said, 3rd earlier, so congratulations to him as well. Talk to me about what you think this event did for the community of New Mexico Esports and NM State Esports. We'll start with you, Will.
Yeah, so this is such like a big event. And I think we ran it really well. Everything went super smooth, and I don't really see anyone was like having like a problem or anything. So definitely, it is good to.
He doesn't know.
What?
He doesn't know. I'm kidding.
We don't have to talk about it if there is any, but yeah. So I just feel like having like a place for all of the school in New Mexico to compete and some of the other states is it's just like
It's a big
strengthen
thing.
the community. Yeah,
Yeah.
like esport community in general, building relationship, and then give the kids in high school like like a chance to experience a little bit of like that esport life in
the land,
college.
yeah.
Like how you go and you compete. So I would say it was an eye-opening experience for them, and it was. Well, for me, of course, it's like an eye-opening experience for like organizing everything. Although I didn't help that much, mostly these guys. But yeah, it was still really fun to hang out and get to know the players. Yeah, so
Definitely. What about for you, Kevin? Obviously, you were absent at our last invitational. Advisor Kevin here. He went to the movie festival or whatever. He was watching everywhere all at once or some shit like 365 days ago. But whatever. Talk to me about the first invitational. Obviously, you did a lot of work for it. You did a lot of our mainstream graphics, the transitions, a lot of the visuals for the mainstream. Talk to me about how that workload was for you, because I remember maybe a week or two before then you were absolutely shitting bricks. You were kind of stressed. You were like, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get a job. Like,
Yeah,
you were going through it.
It was a bunch of unfortunate timings lining up at once, because applying for jobs and stuff like that, and all the interviews just like, hey, it's happening right now, and I'm like, you guys couldn't even wait a week, could you? At that point,
Nope.
And so it was definitely a lot of stress, but it was one of those things that's like, in terms of production side, I know what to do for when creating graphics. I just got to do it, right? And so it's just one of those things, like you see that huge list, but once you start knocking them off one by one and seeing it slowly come together, you're like, oh, this is fine, but in other regards, like this was a very exhausting event for sure for everyone involved. Even
Past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is exhausting.
Yeah, and even now, I can definitely see a lot of folks just do not want to go back to the lab to reassemble the lab, and me included, because I've been kind of actively avoiding the lab for the last week or so.
I think a lot of people have. I mean, we were just people playing on other people's setups. Like, I just don't want to go to the lab. For me, it's weird. For me, like my stress, like reaction, my physical reaction is a nosebleed. If I'm super stressed, my nose bleeds. I went into the lab last Thursday, not doing anything. I was just there to chill out. My nose started bleeding just because I walked in there, dude. I was like, hey, no way this is happening right
you
now.
said to chill out.
Just to chill out.
No.
I mean, in the back of my head, the lab has just turned into a place of work where it's like, okay, I come in here, I have to be productive. And until I've been productive, I can reward myself with playing video games. That's not how it should be.
Yeah,
or at least not to me, right? But, whatever. So you would say it's finally over, kind of?
Yeah, it's finally over, and it was a very successful event. And I definitely know a bunch of very important people took notice, And so from here on out, like our goal is to just keep this up, Either make it bigger, maybe not too much bigger at this point, but our goal is
doubles tournament,
right? But I know definitely a lot of folks have been mentioning, especially the college players, for sure, wanting to see some FPS titles included in the next invitational, right? But that really comes down to
if we're allowed to.
Yeah, if we're allowed to, But I think if we're able to, that would open up a whole avenue. That alone, just adding like an Overwatch or Valorant, would easily increase our player count 20-30%, And so one of those things that we'll figure out when we get there. So
Definitely. What do you think, Will? I'll jump back to you. What would an FPS title do for the Invitational? Or at least, do you think it will have a good enough effect?
Well, definitely. As Kevin said, it would definitely bring us more players in general. Just because Valorant, even like CSGO or Overwatch, they're just like, very popular player baser, a lot. And we in MSU have like really good team too. So it'll be fun to see them compete in such an event. I know this event, some of the players just had to like sit back and like help out because their game title is not being actively played in the tournament. So yeah, if we were to have those in our next invitations, that would be really cool.
Definitely. Now, what about you, Danny? What do you think this invitational did for the community of esports in Mexico here at gaming?
I didn't know too much about the invitational before I was brought on, but I know from just listening to Pac that a lot of people had taken notice of what we were doing here between the first one we held this year and the one we held last year and the one we held this year, that a lot of people, even outside of the schools, like news programs and big name people, had taken notice of what we were doing, like Corsair, I believe, and Viewsonic. They saw what we did and they really liked us, or that's what I kind of heard from Pac. They saw us do that, and then when we continued to do it this year and did it as well as we did, I'd like to say that it really helped put us out there and showed these people that we can do it again, and we're going to keep doing it, and it's just going to keep getting better. It really put our name out there as one of the top spots for doing stuff like this.
Definitely. And in terms of like the logistical aspect, I mean, I know me and Kevin are a little bit more involved into the logistics of the invitational. It was a logistical nightmare. Like even like 2 months ago, it was absolutely a nightmare because we were like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? We were literally waiting for like the 2 days before the invitational was supposed to be starting to set up for a shipment of like 20 computers that at the end of the day we didn't even need, which was like mind-blowing to me. I apologize. I'm getting a phone call. Sorry about that. But yes, yeah, it was a logistical nightmare, trying to get all of our assets. Because you look at our lab, it's relatively small in terms of, like, what we can put in there, what we can actually do in there. And, we were able to expand it all. And I think when everybody was putting it up and tearing it down, they were like, yo, why do we have so much stuff? Why do we have a truss that is like 20 feet long and it fits in our lab? And I'm like, dude, you have no idea what we're capable of. And we didn't have an idea what we were capable of until the invitational. So, super, super proud of specifically my media and tech team now that we've combined forces, right? We kind of like made people... I made like subsets of teams in terms of what we were doing. So each game had its stream manager, and the stream manager was in charge of like, not necessarily super in charge, but they were still in charge of making sure that stream ran relatively well. And I couldn't have been more blessed to have Darlene running League of Legends so well. I mean, she was dealt like the worst hand imaginable. She was going to go into a nice fish bowl that she was going to be able to stream, have a lot of open space, open area, people were going to walk by. But nope, they shut it down just because, I mean, we can't be in there anyway, so we were able to get into like, like a little church room or something in the back that had like really outdated carpets and furniture and all that stuff. But you guys still made it work. It looked like an absolute blast. We had Cyrus do Rocket League, which is probably the most difficult in terms of setting up the setup, because the setup was so far away from the game and like the stage that we had to do like things under the chairs. We had to make it look really nice. So, really cool with, how they were able to get ICT to help us out with that. Smash and Mario Kart, thank God those were like relatively easy stream setups, because it was just corners. Like you have a power, you have your Ethernet, you set it up. You have a power, you have an Ethernet, you set it up, you have tables, and you're good. It was a little bit of a troll with the cables. Like literally 15 minutes before Walmart closed, I had to go to Walmart and buy 50-foot HDMIs after dropping off Oscar, who was like still like super like sleepy. Shout out to Oscar. We'll get to him in a bit. But I had to go to Walmart 15 minutes before they closed, the day before the invitational, buy two 50-foot HDMIs, which are like $30 each, which is expensive, and then run back and put them on. And I was like, dude, no way this is working. And I didn't even do that. I had Danny do them for me.
I remember like midnight Friday, we were trying to figure out how we were going to host the rooms for the Mario Kart tournament. And Vic had to run and get some HDMI cables.
Because if not, stream wouldn't have been seen. Wouldn't be able to see it. And
Wouldn't
I
have
don't
been
even
as
think they
good.
worked, right?
I think we had an issue because we had it running that night. We got it up and we got it on stream, I think either Friday night or Saturday morning. And then we started trying to get it to stream Saturday night or Saturday morning. I'm sorry. We tried to get it onto the computer and something happened and we couldn't get both views. We could only get one view from one TV.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened. Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, Vic. I'm
Absolutely
sorry.
trolled. Blew money away, but now we have 50-foot HDMIs if we ever need them.
We'll get that signal from anywhere, man.
Definitely. So that was a little bit of a nightmare, but we were glad we were able to fix that up. And then the main stream, the main hub stream was like the absolute death to any plan that we originally had, specifically because in the ballrooms upstairs in Corbett, they have literally just ports for HDMIs that you plug into, and it pops up on the projector, right? Or at least that's what it's supposed to do. But they weren't working the day of. But the day before, they were working. So we tried everything. We had these really expensive HDMI extenders. Part 2, we apologize. The microphone died. But we were getting right into the mainstream setup. How did it look for you guys? It was a logistical nightmare in terms of setting it up initially just because we needed too many cables and we didn't have enough. How was it for you guys? Do you think it was a good setup? Back of the ballroom, I know that's usually how it works for productions like that. What do you guys think?
I mean, visually, it looked pretty awesome.
Okay.
I'll
take that.
I wandered in one day after we finished Mario Kart, and you were doing, I think, Smash Finals for single. And I wandered in after helping bust down the Mario Kart setup, and it was super dark up there in the main ballroom, but we had all these lights shining on our casters and casting table in the back where we had, of course, the main stream setup, and it just looked awesome. It was just a nice focal point, and it looked so furnished and refined. It was just really cool.
He's making me blush with that one.
I'm cheesing.
What about you, Kevin? I know you have a thing for production, at least in terms of like how it's set up and its functionality.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing we would probably want is to get another lens for our main camera.
True, definitely.
'cause
We actually have one. It's somewhere rattling around, probably shattered.
Yeah. And I noticed the biggest thing, the morning ceremony kicked off, and we go to zoom in, and we couldn't zoom in anymore.
That's true.
And I remember the initial like panic, like zoom in, and like that's it, and we're like, what?
We don't have a bigger zoom. We have a wider lens, but not a bigger zoom.
Yeah.
I think it was okay. It could have been better.
Yeah,
Definitely could have been better. What my idea and vision is for somebody else to have a mobile camera, either through Ethernet or through literally a camera hooked up to a laptop that was connected to the Wi-Fi that was feeding the stream, which probably in hindsight would have been a terrible idea just because of quality. But if you had a good enough camera, maybe it looked well. But that idea never fell through, unfortunately. So it happens. But yes, the zoom, definitely. We need a bigger zoom.
But overall, I think it was super, super nice to see, especially when we were bringing folks on stage doing live interviews and stuff. It was really cool to see that sort of focal point, like Danny said, in that ballroom. Because a lot of folks, most people just went and scattered off to their respective rooms.
Yeah.
And then, but having that sort of piece there, that everyone who's like wandering by has something to watch and look at, really, gave them a reason to come back to the ballroom from time to time, And so
Definitely. What about you, Will? I know you were working the merch, or what were you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you were doing more league stuff, right? Mostly.
Well, yeah, I was like here and there. So I helped with like league a little bit, and then I came up to like the ballroom and help Amanda Dragonheart with like selling merch or whatever she needs me to do. But it was really cool, like the setup, as Kevin said, for like the inviting people onto the stage and then interview them was really cool. I love that we had the setup for Smash final. I think it was grand final, right? Yeah, upstage. Yeah, it was like, seeing the player play live and all the reaction of like the people watching. I got to help a little bit with like the streaming part. Well, some Yeah,
you were stream managing. I remember.
Shout out to that one guy from UTEP helped me out with like changing the name and characters and stuff, and Dom too.
Dom knew how to do it really well. I was surprised.
Yeah. So and I also love that we have like 2 row of machines inside the ballroom for everyone to try out their favorite game title.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was a really nice setup that we had. Yeah.
I appreciate your input. I mean, I didn't do much of it, but I'll take the stream part of it. I would like to give all the credit to that to Jivey. He was like the mastermind while I was like running around to 5 other stream setups. He was like making sure that one was working at least in some fashion. So shout out to Jivey, man. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. He's not dead or anything, but he's just not in Las Cruces, I think, right now. But that pretty much wraps up the Invitational. I feel like everybody that worked the Invitational can write like a whole story about what they did for those whole 2 days and how it was absolutely hell. But we made it work. Everybody really enjoyed themselves. I think everybody in the hindsight had a lot of fun. So really, really fortunate to have such a big team. Imagine this with 10 people. Not even 10. It was like 8. Granted, if the space was a lot closer together. There was a lot less people, a lot less teams, a lot less games, and a lot less worry in terms of like stream setup, just because we had some help from UNM last year. So shout out to them for doing that last year. But thankfully this year we were able to do it all self-sufficiently. But I mean, obviously it took an army to do it. So extremely, extremely proud, extremely grateful for everybody there. I think everybody, like I said, is extremely grateful for everybody that showed up and helped, even for a little bit, and everybody that competed and traveled. Obviously, without them, they couldn't make the tournament possible. But that pretty much wraps it up for the invitational part of it. We don't really have too much because I know we took up a pretty big chunk of our time talking about this part of the invitational, or at least this part of the podcast for the invitational. We're just going to touch on some other slight pop culture things. Before we get into that, we'll talk about other esports, at least collegiately. So similar to us, a lot of colleges have an invitational, but they primarily focus on universities. They don't do high schools too much. I mean, I'm sure they, indulge in it at least some way, but they don't host it themselves. One of the biggest events is St. Clair Saints, or St. Clair. Obviously, they have a huge esports program. They have the beautiful Nexus, but they hosted No Man's LAN, LAN, which I think is a really cool name. I think it's like the 15th one that they've done. So that they got that on us, and they hosted a really good event. I'll probably put some pictures up here, but a bunch of colleges went out, pretty much invited all like the border schools, and then obviously all the Canadian colleges up there. So congratulations to all the winners of that tournament as well. So yeah, congratulations to them. You guys know anything about St. Clair Saints, the gaming organization? They're like a top 5 esports college right now, so they're pretty good. Shouts out to them. They're definitely not watching, but we'll move on to that's my only other esports things. A million other things have happened. I haven't caught them all. Sorry, chat. My bad. But pop culture. We'll talk about something quickly on pop culture. I want to get your guys' opinions. I think we've talked about this a little bit before. But the Oscars were this past weekend. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I mentioned it earlier. The most winningest film of all time. It beat out Lord of the Rings. Kevin, I know you have a very strong opinion on this.
Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings. The cinematic Lord of the Rings, right? I know a lot of folks would like come after me like, oh, did you read the books, et cetera, et cetera. Like I probably missed that window of being able to enjoy books because I feel like I can't read anymore. I barely read my own cards. But I definitely think Everything Everywhere All at Once deserved a lot of that. And, I depending on who you've been with or you've been with me and who I've talked to about this, I've always been sort of, I don't want to say critical about Asian representation in Hollywood, but I've definitely been very vocal about that in terms of like, not so much we need more of it, but we need better representation. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once was probably the movie that we needed, like in terms of Asian representation, right? It did a very good job of showcasing without pandering, right? And it really treated a lot of that sentiment that I know a lot of us, whether it's our parents coming to the the U.S. or us being born in that sort of weird cultural dynamic, you know, being raised by our parents, but also being exposed to Western culture, that we've never really vocalized until we saw that movie. And then it just really felt like a really honest representation of that. And I really appreciate it. And I think the actors and actresses that have won definitely deserved it, right? And I definitely feel like, you know, seeing their speeches, I was like, wow, like this is where first time in a while I seen an Oscar speech and I felt like this feels
genuine.
Yeah, this feels real. This feels like they've went their whole lives just for this one moment, you know, and really it is.
I mean, a lot of them, it literally is, right? I mean, none of them had won an Oscar before. And I mean, I don't think any of them were even in the running for an Oscar, maybe besides Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple times back in the past, right? She's done a lot of movies. But Will, Danny, did you watch that movie at all?
It's on my list, but I have not
haven't
watched
it.
I've heard good things, but I haven't watched it.
You've heard good things. I bet you have. Some other things in pop culture, not so much pop culture, but in gaming culture. Source 2. Counter-Strike is coming back.
I'm excited to see that, 100%.
No more Val rage, back to classic CS rage, Kevin.
Right? No, like I can finally, like, we needed a new CS.
That's true.
For how long it's been? Was it 12 years it's been since we have anything new? Maybe we gotten a couple of new maps, but
and skins and all that.
Really, I think CSGO needed a makeover to bring it to the modern era. And the question, I have high hopes for it, but I'm really hoping that Valve does not let this one fall through. Like a lot of the top tier, and when I mean top tier, I mean like the really competitive games, like Dota 2. We've seen like a slow, very minuscule decline, right?
That's true. They kind of kept it alive. I watched Dota a pretty good amount.
Yeah, and so I see like a lot of these harder games with their easier counterparts, like League of Legends to Dota, Valve to CS, and stuff like that. I'm really hoping that Valve creates that high skill ceiling game that CSGO really was, you know. Bring it back, that tactical shooter that we've desperately needed for over a decade now. And Valve did not replace that. Like, Valorant was not a replacement for CSGO, 100%. I will die on this hill.
That's true. I mean, we've seen a lot of big things in terms of gaming as well with Valorant. I mean, I feel like Valorant is that one game that Riot Studios is, like, super hard trying to push, like in terms of its growth, right? I mean, we see it sometimes in League of Legends, but I mean, when do you really think about anything done outside of League besides Worlds? Like, at least to me, from like an outsider's perspective, it's just Worlds is when all the good League stuff comes out.
Yeah.
But Valorant, I feel like every single tournament, I mean, we saw Lock In, you know, they changed the whole in-game UI, you know, links to streams, you know, character reveal. It's kind of like what old Siege used to be. And that's why I love Siege, at least back then, because they were always releasing new stuff. They were always leaking new stuff or, like, you know, teasing new stuff. They've kind of gone away from that. But Valorant's kind of taken that along with, like, the CS type of competition and really ran with it. You know, they release music. They release, animated shorts. You know, I'm pretty sure we're going to see them have a show sometime soon, right? So, you know, whatever they do, shout-outs to them. In terms of gaming news, I mean, I don't really have anything else. Do you guys have anything else in terms of gaming news, pop culture? New card decks coming out?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Lord of the Rings.
Wait, do they have Lord of the Ring Magic cards?
Yeah.
Whoa. Is that new or is it like...
Yeah, it's going to be August, I think.
We just got a big spoiler video today to look into all of the cards. And it looks like somebody's going to spend money on it.
No.
Is it going to be August or is it more like May?
I think it's June.
And then isn't August Commander Masters?
Yeah, I think it's like June.
This summer's
you do pre-release, and then it's gonna be.
It's gonna die.
It's gonna be a poor year.
And the worst thing about it, it's like Lord of the Rings isn't even just the Commander sets. It's a whole set.
Dang.
It's a whole set on
way.
its own. So it's gonna be
look pretty
pricey.
though,
but exciting.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing we could talk about real fast is The Last of Us. I know we talked about it a little bit on the last episode. The Last of Us TV show is, you know, quickly becoming one of the highest rated, if not already is the highest rated HBO show. I think it's it's pretty much solidified itself as the best video game adaptation into like popular media, whether it's shows or movies. I
Yeah.
mean, Resident Evil kind of dropped the ball a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Silent Hill. As much as I love the Silent Hill movies,
Mm.
horrible.
Yeah.
First Mario movie.
The first Mario movie, the new Mario movie coming out looks pretty banging.
Yeah.
Uncharted
Visually,
kind of
yeah.
choked.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I forgot about
that
Uncharted.
released. Yeah, that released
Yeah,
a while ago.
I can't even think of anything else.
Yeah,
The
no.
Doom movie.
The Doom movie with The Rock.
Yeah.
No, that's a classic.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides, I guess The Witcher
And
kind
Keith
of.
Urban in it too.
The Witcher
Yeah,
was
The
pretty
Witcher
good.
was good. Yeah.
But I feel like it had a good amount of source material from the
Mhm.
books, even though it went off of the books a little
Mhm.
bit towards the end. I think it was all right.
Mhm.
Henry Cavill carried.
Henry,
Oh.
that's that classic Henry Cavill carry. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we've seen Minecraft make its way to Netflix, but it really didn't hit.
It has.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a Telltale, like,
Yeah.
essentially
Really?
they made the Minecraft Telltale into a playable video that you can kind of play as a game on Netflix, kind of like what they did with Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Oh.
If you've ever heard of that.
No.
I would definitely check them out. Essentially, it's like Netflix show that you can control, and you can do like
Really?
alternate endings and stuff like that. They already filled
Oh,
all that
okay.
stuff. So, I guess that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any final messages to send out to the ether?
On the web.
Come to Cart Nights.
Yeah.
Come to Card Nights,
Yeah.
TGC Nights every Friday here at the lab. Make sure to come and support Geek Shack, your local card shop. I'll give Christian a freebie for that one. Link to his Facebook page will be down below. Anything else?
Yeah.
Um.
Come to cook or get cooked.
Yeah. No.
Come to cook, get cooked. You drip or drown, and what do we don't do?
Drown.
Baby. Make sure to follow all social medias at NM State Esports, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Hive, Reddit, everything. Make sure to check out the newest episode of the NM State Ace. New episodes coming every 6 months. I'm kidding. No, new episode coming soon.
Yeah.
And we will be back every week. So we're doing a little bit of a slight change. If you're still watching, a little bit of a slight change to the podcast. Every week we're going to have one. Every single week from now on, we're going to have a podcast unless the season ends, and then we'll take a little break. But next week you'll see the COD players. So special guests will leak right now. COD players. After that, we'll have the Rocket League players that won the Invitational. So leak on that. And then after that, we haven't necessarily decided anything. A new YouTube series is going to start relatively soon. You guys have already seen the showcase, so make sure to check out our YouTube shorts as well as our reels on Instagram and Facebook. And that's pretty much it. Buy our merch. Finally, a merch store. Check it out. Handmade. I printed like half of them.
Go get a mouse pad.
The shirt press slaves.
The shirt press slaves. And go get a mouse pad. Thank you all so much. Good night.